today's the day to take care of our health, isn't it? Well, I'd like to welcome everybody today. Today is the feast day of Luke, the Evangelist, and we also hear him referred to as the great and glorious or dear and glorious physician in some modern literature. And he was from Syria. I think Francis and I both kind of picked up on that when we were reading through some biographical details. Syria kind of has a bad name these days, and it's always good to realize Syria has a long, long, long history, much longer than ours, but that's supposedly where he did a lot of his work. The most detailed account of Jesus' birth is found in the Gospel of Luke, but he doesn't really stop with just those great details of Jesus' birth. He takes the story of Jesus through the crucifixion, the resurrection, Pentecost, and into the early years of the church. And that's through the book of Acts, where we see a lot of the stories of the church. It's a story of our faith continued. Our reading today, the first reading, is kind of an autobiographical reading of Paul. It's an address to Timothy, who was one of his followers, and Luke is actually named in that particular passage. And Paul calls on Timothy to imitate him because he really knows that the world is not the way of faith always, but that God gives us what we need to achieve our tasks. And Paul himself says all he needed was his cloak and his parchments. And he really gave everything else all over to God. And in the gospel today, when the 72 were called, they were sent out with very little, if you remember that, and we'll hear about that in the gospel reading. And what we're really about is achieving the kingdom. We're not about amassing great wealth or worldly goods. So I've chosen number 601 as we begin today, all that we have. And we will sing verse 1 of 601. And we will have the Gloria. Melissa will do our first reading today.